Hey guys, back at again with another video. Today we're going to be talking about the mortgage. I don't know if you can see that. And there's some things that are really important that I really wanted to talk about. And one is your first home, how important it's going to be for you in the future. It could either lead to financial success or financial failure, so be very careful when you're buying your first home. Here's some things that we really need to think about when we buy our first home is the location of the first home. Is this place in an area where there's frequent fires and floods, or is it surrounded by any kind of, structural damage that could happen through mudslides or whatever? Where is it on? Is it on bedrock, and is it on a hill, because if it is, then your chances are you're pretty structurally secure. Um, so that's the structure of the home also plays into the factor. When was the home built? Houses, break down over time. You can end up with dry rot damage, water damage, all kinds of problems, termites, infestations. Be very careful when you buy your first home and always have a home inspector, I think, come and check out your home. I think it's really important, or your future home. And if people don't really want a home inspection, well, then tough. You probably should, unless it is the dream home and you're pretty sure that it's okay. I would not take them up on purchasing that home without a home inspection. And if you are, I would ask him to drop the price and pay for, the closing costs. So there's that. The next one is value. How much value are you getting from your home? Is it a big home? Will it be able to be, can you expand on the home? How much land does it have? Is it in an area where a lot of people are thinking about moving to because the value of the home will go up sometimes with that? And I think that's really important thing when you're thinking about purchasing your home, because you're going to be on your home probably for a pretty long time. If you're really diligent about paying on your home, you can probably get it paid off in 5 years. If you are like a really savvy investor. If you're not, then it's probably going to take you anywhere from 10 years, 15 to 30 years to pay off your home, as long as you're making payments. Now, I'm going to teach you some tricks to pay off your home a little faster, but it's going to cost you more money, but it's going to be totally worth it in the end. And the reason is because with an it's really kind of a tough word for me to say, amortized home loan, you end up paying for a lot of the interest on the home instead of paying on the principal, which is basically you're not paying on the home's value itself. You're kind of eating away at the interest that you're paying. And so when you first buy a home, you're going to be taking on quite a bit of debt. So that's something you really need to think about too, is how much debt do you have currently, because it's about to get a whole lot worse. And why people end up with foreclosed homes and can't make payments is because, what if you have quite a bit of debt and you go and buy your first home and then something bad happens to you and you're forced out of work and you can't make your mortgage payment and you can't pay off your phone. That's why having a really good down payment, I think, is also really important, because if you have a really big down payment, they could put straight into the home. One, it usually locks you into a pretty good home loan. And if you can get a 15-year loan and then pay on that, oh man, you can pay that off really quick. You honestly want to be out from under your home as quickly as possible. One, because interest will eat you alive. Debt will eat you alive. So, and the goal of the financial channel that I'm creating is to pretty much be debt free. So credit score is also really important. Be very careful with getting your credit up, because you need to really start building your credit when you are looking to purchase your first home. You cannot get into a home without like a good credit score, unless you're paying absolutely in cash and paying it all up front, which is pretty difficult to do, because we're talking about thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars typically. Be very also careful when you make your first home. They may approve you for a much higher price than what you're, looking for. And what you're looking for is probably something I suggest, if you can, smaller than your means. Don't get into a really big home unless you can afford it. And because the goal is to pay off your home as quickly as possible. if you have like a huge massive home and it's like $500,000 and you got approved for that you had, but you only make, you know, $30,000 a year, bad idea, you know, because even if you had 20 grand as a down payment or 30 grand as a down payment, you're going to be suffering hard if, you know, if you ever come into financial hardship. And the bank kind of wants that. The bank wants you to either fail or, you know, not be able to make payments. Either way, they win. They own the house outright if you can't if you can't make the payments, and then they're going to charge you money. And that's how banks make a lot. And they make a lot of money by moving money around and doing this kind of stuff. Your bank is never actually, when you go and make a deposit in your bank, typically that money is not really there. It's a bunch of other people's money all kind of floating around. It's not like that is your money. And they're moving money all over the place, and that's what they're doing. They're loaning out your money and doing all kinds of stuff with it. The next thing is paying off the principal. And this was the technique that I was going to tell you about. If you can, let's just say you're thinking about buying a home, or you want to buy a home and you're pretty young watching this video. I want you to follow all the steps of my saving, which is going to be coming out here pretty soon, and start figuring out better ways to basically edge out a little bit more money. And you could do two things. You could, you know, start your own business, but I just want you to start saving a little bit more. And the first thing I want you to do when you do finally get your first home is have a decent sized down payment, which is, I think, about 20% of the home's value. And then what I want you to do is every time you pay on the mortgage, like let's just say that your mortgage is like $800 a month, I want you to pay $1,600 a month if you can. And the reason being why you should do that is because I want you to make a $800 principal payment. Let's just say that's just an average. Let's just say if it was a little bit higher, you can do like $2,000 and $1,000. Half the amount of what you pay, or double the amount of what you pay in a mortgage, you put towards a principal payment. And when you pay on a principal payment towards your home, now you're going to have to go and tell your bank this when you go make a payment, is as when you first make a purchase on your home, it starts off kind of like this. This is, you know, let's just say that this is a chart, and you started off here on your home, how much you owe, and over time it goes like this. But the value of what you actually own on your home kind of goes like this. And right here is usually around the, like, I think it's like the 12 year mark or something like that. 12 years on a 30-year loan. So what happens is interest is what you're paying for. So you're paying mostly on interest when you start making a home. But if you put you know, $800 of this into your mortgage payment and then $800 into a principal payment, what's going to happen is this is going to come down here much faster. So you're going to pay off your home in about half the time if it's a 30-year loan, and you'll reach this point a lot easier and a lot quicker. That's if you can afford it. The problem is, I mean, if you could do even more than that, then that would be the most advantageous thing. But that's pretty hard to do, I think, because you're usually when you take up a home, you end up having a lot more bills. You've got like water, and you've got property tax, and then you've got, you know, you need to make more money. That's just the truth. And unless you're absolutely loaded and you can't pay for the home right off the bat, here's like 250 grand, $250,000, chances are you're going to end up paying somebody some extra money over time. And even if it's 3%, it's a lot. Typically when someone buys a home, let's just say it's $250,000, what you'll actually end up paying for the home is probably close to double that. Over 30 years, you'll end up paying $500,000. And that's why you want to get out from it as quick as possible, because you don't want to be paying the bank an extra $250,000. What you want to be taking is that $250,000, and you want to be investing it either into your own business, you know, and then we'll talk about that later, into your own business or into yourself or into the stock market. There's just so many different things you can do with $250,000 and making that money grow. Like $250,000 towards your retirement, especially if you're looking, let's just say you got into your first home when you're in your mid 20s, 25, and got pretty lucky. And that means by the time, if you end up following this path, you could probably pay off your home in 15 years. By the time that you're 40, you'll have paid off the home, saved yourself quite a bit of money, and you wouldn't have probably $250,000 saved. But if you did, just think what you could do with that $250,000. There's all kinds of things that you could do with another $250,000. You could buy a new home, turn that into a rental, and then have 2 properties generating revenue for you, or generating cash flow for you, so that you can make other money moves, maybe go on a vacation for a week, and this is when you're like 40. So planning for that now is really important. Another thing is when you renovate your home, what you can do is every few years you can refinance your home. But the problem with refinancing, the bank is going to call you in about 4 years or 5 years or so, and they're going to be like, hey, do you want to refinance your loan? We have a much better deal for you. And the reason is they're going to try and extend this line right here. They're going to try and take this that you started paying towards the principal, and they're going to try and extend it even longer. So when you finally do pay off the home, when you finally pay off the home, it'll be at a much later date. And you may not be paying initially in the month, but you're just going to be paying more in interest. So what you do is you renovate your house, you build up the equity of the home, so that when you refinance your home, the home's equity comes up, and that's the refinance amount, and you agree to keep paying what you originally were paid on the loan. And that will just bring up your equity, and this will change your principal. Kind of think of it as like a principal payment by renovating your home. Now you can do a lot of different types of renovations. You can do outside renovations. You can do inside your home renovations. I really recommend that you do a lot of research when you think about renovating your first home, but this is like just the bare minimum, I think. I mean, you can dig deep into mortgages and how to get ahead, but this is just the tip of the iceberg, so be very careful when you go make your first home. Thank you very much, guys. Like if you like the video, dislike if you dislike the video, and if you really like the video, please subscribe. Thank you very much. Have a great day.